Hello guys, wow, I was not expecting that. First things first, you'll notice I'm not at Wembley. That's because I've been quite unwell this week. And as everybody knows, that generally bodes well for Arsenal. I've been in hospital with a high and mysterious fever, so wasn't able to make the game today, although I'm delighted to be back home. But I was very happy indeed watching it. I mean, I tell you what though, those last few minutes for a man who's been sweating profusely for about 5 days were not exactly ideal. I didn't think I could get hotter and sweatier, and yet I managed it. But what a huge result that was today. Absolutely massive for the club. And I think a final really is just reward for these supporters. I know a lot of people criticise the Arsenal fans and say that they're too demanding, they're too quick to turn on the team. But I think given what we've seen this season, the fans were really owed something by the players. Not just because of what happened at Crystal Palace, but because of what's happened over the last few months, really. I think the players have been letting the supporters down. They owed them a performance like this. They owed them that prize of a final. And we've got it. And Arsenal fought today. They fought out there on the pitch. I haven't seen it for a long time, but we were strong in the duels, strong in the challenges. There was a gutsiness to this performance and an intelligence to it too, a tactical intelligence. I mean, Arsene stuck with the back three he used at Middlesbrough, which I think he had to do because it had brought hope to the team, really. It brought the sense of something new, and I think we desperately needed that. But it made sense from a strategic perspective. When you look at City, their goals so often are from low crosses or pullbacks. So what do? You crowd the box with 3 centre halves, make it that much harder for them to pick somebody out. And the amount of times they got to the byline, pulled it back, but a Holding or a Gabriel or a Koscielny was there to clear it away. There was plenty of times where that happened, and I thought we looked secure. I thought in the first half we looked compact, we looked prepared to sit deep, we looked prepared to defend our ground, to hold our lines. We were deeper than many Arsenal mega teams. There were times where Olivier Giroud, the furthest man forward, was only about 40 yards from his own goal. But that's what we needed because we were a team with no confidence. So we had to hold our ground and look for an opportunity to get something on the break. We weren't doing that great in the first half. We struggled on the attacking front. I think we'd had an extra week to work on the system, and that seemed to have benefited the defenders more than the attackers. But the first half was in many ways not a great spectacle. It was kind of more dominated by the referee, particularly in the TV coverage. 2 penalty shouts, one at either end. One for Aguero, where for me, I think he sort of kicked himself. I think it would have been soft. One for a push on Alexis, or a rugby tackle, really. I think that was a foul. And then the disallowed goal for City, which we got away with, really, ought to have stood. But City will feel a little bit unlucky today. I mean, they had the disallowed goal, they hit the woodwork twice, they had the Aguero penalty shout. You'll have to forgive me if I can't find it in me to care. And as soon as the second half started, it was a different Arsenal that we saw. I mean, straight away, you could see there was more intent. We remembered how to attack, how we found space suddenly, we exploited it. And that only improved when Olivier Giroud was replaced by Danny Welbeck. If you're playing on the break like that, Giroud's not the guy. And Welbeck, people say, should have started. Look, the game went 120 minutes, and he was so effective in some respects in that last period. It was better to have him coming off the bench. And we don't know how fit he was, to be honest, because he was out at Middlesbrough and only trained on Saturday. So we were improving in the second half, and in fact their goal came against the run of play. And for me, Petr Cech needs to do better. Aguero's touch is heavy, Cech starts coming. But the damage is already done to an extent. His starting position is too deep. He should be starting higher. And then when Aguero's touch is heavy, he needs to come, clean it out, take the ball, take the man, all in one movement. But he hesitated, and Aguero finished brilliantly. And you feared for Arsenal then. But huge credit to the team. They kept going. And Monreal, who'd been the man, outpaced on that goal, bounced back with a brilliant finish off his right foot. And what a cross from Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. It really was. A lot of people raved about Christian Eriksen's pass in the semi-final yesterday. But this was every bit as good. And I guess that's the advantage of wing backs. You know, one guy swinging across it and the other guy arriving on the overlap. And another case where the system kind of proved itself for us. We might have won it in normal time. Danny Welbeck went clear and should have pulled it back to Alexis. I can see why he went for the shot, but it's definitely the wrong decision. If it goes in the top corner, no one talks about it, but he missed by a whisker. And so extra time it was. But to be honest, I really was pretty confident in extra time, which I did not feel. At the start of this game, I didn't really think we had a great chance to win. I was not feeling good about it at all. But we grew into it, particularly after the half-time period. And eventually it was Sanchez, the guy who got the goal. And at first glance, it looked scrappy. You know, Welbeck scuffs at it, Sanchez tucks it away. But the anticipation to get there first, and then the first touch, the precision, he manages to take a touch with so many players so tight around him, have the presence of mind to just knock it once and then ping it into the net. That's so much harder than it looks. It's a Suarez-esque finish, really. And in those big moments, he's just a guy who keeps on coming through. Honestly, whatever money he wants, you know, we've got to offer it to him at least. But then, you know, we held on. The defending was superb. We got there. Elation for Arsene Wenger at the full time. Elation for the Arsenal fans. You know, we've been waiting for something like this to give us a bit of relief, to make us feel better about our club. And there were some great performances to celebrate today. I don't want to talk about the manager's future. I just want to talk about the result and the performance. I think everyone will talk about the back three, and rightfully so, because they were excellent. But the whole back five, when you include the wing backs, were brilliant. Oxlade-Chamberlain, outstanding man of the match for me. I really hope he's not off if he's going to carry on improving and playing at this rate. Rob Holding, remarkably composed. You know, we say that about him every time, but he needs to stay in this team. He's a stabilising influence. Monreal, an excellent game. A lot of people wrote him off as a wing back after Middlesbrough. He gave them, you know, cause to think about that one with his performance today. I'm not mentioning everybody, but, you know, the whole defensive unit was really strong. And I thought, obviously, Sanchez came through with the goal. Danny Welbeck had a classic Danny Welbeck performance, really. So much energy, so much hard work, so much determination. Decision-making of final product, not the best, to be honest. But I think you have to forgive him that bit of rustiness, and he did change the game. And I hope he's back in the starting 11 soon, because I just think we are invariably a better team with him in it. Hopefully he gets a goal soon too. I think that will do wonders for his confidence and hopefully improve his sharpness. But yeah, there were times today where Arsenal looked like Arsenal, felt like Arsenal. And I saw those shots of the fans in the stadium and what it meant to them, what it meant to the players at full time. And I thought, oh yeah, that's what this is about. This is what this feels like when it's good. And it hasn't felt like that for ages. You know, I'm on the mend, which is nice. I'm slowly coming back to health. And today, it feels a little bit like Arsenal might be too. It's a bit trite, but it's a very small thing, but it's reminded me some of the great things about this club. We felt like Arsenal at times today. What we do between now and the end of the season, you know, remains to be seen. What happens in the final against Chelsea, God only knows. But let's savour this. And let's savour this whole weekend, because Spurs didn't make it. And we did. Some things don't change, I guess. Cheers, guys. This is the longest one ever.